Emily's hands trembled slightly as she balanced the tray filled with drinks. Friday nights were always busy at the Harbor Grill, the small coastal restaurant where she worked double shifts to cover rent and daycare fees for her 4-year-old daughter, Lily. The chatter of customers, clinking of glasses, and faint hum of live music usually drowned her worries, but tonight felt different. She glanced at table 6, her next stop, and froze mid-step. Her heart dropped to her stomach. Sitting there, looking as polished and smug as ever, was Ryan, her ex. The man who had once promised her forever, only to trade her in for someone shinier when responsibility became too much for him. And beside him sat a woman Emily didn't recognize. Long dark hair, red lipstick, a fitted dress that clung in all the places Emily's work uniform didn't. The new girlfriend, of course. Ryan's hand rested on the woman's knee, his grin wide, like he was showing off a prize. Emily swallowed hard and forced herself to move. This was her job. Tips meant diapers, groceries, and electricity bills. She couldn't afford to walk away, no matter how much her chest tightened. "Hi there," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. She placed their drinks down with practiced ease. "2 margaritas. Can I get you started with any appetizers?" Ryan looked up, recognition flickering in his eyes. His smile widened into something cruelly familiar. "Emily? Wow, didn't expect to see you here." He gestured casually to the woman beside him. "This is Jessica, my girlfriend." Jessica gave a polite nod, clearly unaware of the storm beneath Emily's calm exterior. Emily forced a tight smile. "Nice to meet you. I'll give you a few minutes with the menu." She spun on her heel before the tears could surface, retreating to the safety of the counter. She busied herself with refilling napkin holders, but her chest burned. Ryan looked happy, successful, carefree. He hadn't asked about Lily, hadn't even blinked at the sight of the woman he once shared a life with, now in a faded apron, serving tables to make ends meet. Emily turned her attention to her other tables, desperate for distraction. That's when she noticed table 4. A man sat alone with a little boy who couldn't have been older than 6. The boy had messy blonde hair and was coloring intently on the kid's menu with a crayon. The man, broad-shouldered with tired but kind eyes, watched him with a patience Emily rarely saw in fathers. When Emily approached, he smiled, the kind that reached his eyes. "Evening. I think we're ready. He'll have the chicken tenders and I'll take the salmon, please." "Of course," Emily said, jotting it down. The boy looked up, beaming. "I'm Drew," he announced proudly. Emily chuckled. "Nice to meet you, Drew. I'm Emily." The man gave a small laugh. "Sorry, he's not shy." Then, almost hesitantly, he added, "I'm Nathan." As Emily walked away, she felt something strange, a lightness she hadn't felt in a long time. Table 6 was her past, a wound that still ached. But table 4, it felt like something different, something new, and maybe, just maybe, something hopeful. Emily carried Nathan and Drew's order to the kitchen, grateful for the brief escape from Ryan's smug laughter echoing across the dining room. She kept her hands busy, but her mind drifted back to table 4. There was something grounding about Nathan. He hadn't looked at her like she was just a waitress. He hadn't looked through her the way Ryan always used to. He looked at her, and it unsettled her in the best way. When their meals were ready, Emily carefully placed them on a tray and returned to table 4. Drew's eyes lit up at the sight of his food. "Chicken tenders!" he exclaimed, clapping his little hands together before digging in. Nathan chuckled, shaking his head. "Excuse his enthusiasm. He takes food very seriously." Emily smiled. "That's okay, food should be exciting." She placed Nathan's salmon in front of him. "Here you go. Let me know if you need anything else." She turned to leave, but Nathan's voice stopped her. "Actually..." He hesitated, then gestured toward Ryan's table. "You okay? You looked, shaken when you saw them." Emily's stomach dropped. Had he noticed? She forced a polite smile. "I'm fine. Just busy night." Nathan studied her for a moment, as if deciding whether to push, then simply nodded. "Well, if you need a breather, Drew tells the best knock-knock jokes. Just warning you." "Do not," Drew protested, his mouth full of chicken. "They're funny." Emily laughed, the sound surprising even herself. "I'll keep that in mind." As she returned to the counter, she felt Ryan's eyes on her. Sure enough, when she glanced over, he was whispering something to Jessica, who giggled behind her hand. Emily's cheeks burned, but she refused to let him see her falter. She straightened her shoulders, grabbed a tray of water glasses for another table, and kept moving. An hour later, Ryan flagged her down with a snap of his fingers, just like old times. "Emily," he said smoothly, "I think you forgot our side of guacamole. We asked for it twice." Emily clenched her jaw. She hadn't forgotten. He hadn't ordered it, but arguing would only make things worse. "I'll bring it right out," she said, retreating to the kitchen. By the time she returned with the guacamole, Nathan was watching. Not in a nosy way, but in a concerned, quiet sort of way. The kind of look that made her chest ache because she couldn't remember the last time anyone had cared how she felt. When Ryan and Jessica finally left, Emily exhaled a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She thought the night was finally turning around, until Nathan asked for the check. She brought it over and Drew was already doodling on the receipt paper. When she returned to collect it, she noticed Nathan had left a tip far more generous than the bill required. Her throat tightened. "That's too much," she said, pushing it back. Nathan shook his head. "You've been running yourself ragged all night. Take it. And..." His eyes softened. "Don't let people like him make you feel small." Emily froze. He had noticed. All of it. Before she could respond, Drew grinned up at her. "Bye, Emily. I hope I see you again." Nathan gave her a polite nod, ushering his son toward the door. But as they left, Emily's chest ached in a way that felt nothing like the pain Ryan caused. This was different. Softer. It felt like the start of something. The restaurant finally quieted down near closing time. Emily leaned against the counter, rubbing her sore feet. The night had been rough. Seeing Ryan flaunt his new life, pretending as though their shared history and Lily didn't exist. But Nathan's words lingered in her mind like a warm echo. Don't let people like him make you feel small. As she wiped down a table, her coworker and friend, Marissa, sidled up beside her. "You okay? You looked like you'd seen a ghost when that couple came in." Emily sighed, glancing toward the empty table 6. "That wasn't a ghost. That was Ryan." Marissa's eyebrows shot up. "Ryan? As in Lily's father, Ryan?" Emily nodded, forcing herself to keep scrubbing. "He showed up with his new girlfriend, sat right there like it was nothing." "Ouch!" Marissa winced. "Did he at least ask about Lily?" Emily shook her head. Her chest tightened just thinking about it. Not once. Not even a mention. "Typical," Marissa muttered. "But hey, I noticed something else. That guy at table 4? With the kid? He couldn't take his eyes off you." Emily's cheeks flushed. "He was just being nice. His name's Nathan, and his son is Drew." Marissa smirked. Just being nice. Honey, men don't tip like that unless they notice more than the service." Emily rolled her eyes, but inside, her heart fluttered. Still, she shook it off. She wasn't ready for anything like that. Her life was too complicated. Single motherhood, bills, exhaustion. Men like Nathan probably didn't stick around once they realized the reality of her world. When her shift ended, Emily changed into her worn hoodie, slung her bag over her shoulder, and headed out to her beat-up car. The salty night air cooled her flushed cheeks. She was about to climb into the driver's seat when she heard a small voice. "Emily!" She turned. Drew was standing a few feet away in the parking lot, holding Nathan's hand. His little face lit up like he'd just spotted a superhero. Nathan gave an apologetic smile. "Sorry." He insisted on saying goodnight. Emily laughed softly, crouching down so she was eye level with Drew. "Well, good night, Drew. Did you enjoy your chicken tenders?" "They were the best ever," he said enthusiastically, then added in a conspiratorial whisper, "Dad doesn't cook as good as you guys." Nathan chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Thanks, bud." Then his gaze shifted back to Emily. "Do you always work this late?" Emily straightened, hugging her bag closer. "Yeah, most nights. Daycare isn't cheap." She hadn't meant to admit that, but the exhaustion made her tongue loose. Nathan studied her with a softness that made her want to look away. "That can't be easy. Doing it all on your own." Emily forced a small smile. You get used to it. For a moment, they just stood there, the sound of the ocean waves in the distance filling the silence. Then Drew yawned, tugging on his father's hand. Guess that's our cue, Nathan said gently. Good night, Emily. Maybe we'll see you again sometime. Emily watched them walk away, Drew swinging his father's hand with sleepy happiness. She leaned against her car, her chest tightening in that strange, bittersweet way again. Maybe she would see them again, and maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a bad thing. The next morning, Emily woke to the sound of her daughter, Lily, climbing into bed with her stuffed bunny clutched tight. Mommy, pancakes? She mumbled, her curls a messy halo around her face. Emily smiled sleepily, pulling her little girl close. Of course, pancakes. But only if you're my helper. They made breakfast together, Lily carefully stirring batter while Emily kept a steadying hand on the bowl. For a while, it was just them, the way it had been ever since Ryan walked out. Lily's giggles filled the apartment, and for a moment the sting of last night faded. Still, Nathan's words played in the back of her mind. Don't let people like him make you feel small. The way he'd said it, so genuine, lingered longer than she wanted to admit. Later that day, Emily headed into her afternoon shift. As soon as she stepped into the Harbor Grill, Marissa leaned across the hostess stand with a mischievous grin. Guess who's at table 4 again? Emily blinked, her heart skipping. No. Yes, Marissa sing-songed. Your mystery dad and his adorable sidekick. Emily rolled her eyes, though warmth spread through her chest despite herself. She tied her apron tighter and grabbed her notepad before heading to table 4. Sure enough, there they were. Drew was busy arranging sugar packets into a tower while Nathan scanned the menu. When he looked up and saw Emily, a smile tugged at his lips. Well, Nathan said, looks like we're lucky with our server again. Hi, Emily, Drew chirped, abandoning his sugar tower. Do you remember me? Emily laughed. Of course I remember you, Drew. You made it pretty hard to forget. Nathan chuckled, closing his menu. We thought we'd come back, Drew insisted. Drew nodded enthusiastically. I wanted to see if you had more chicken tenders. Emily grinned. Good news, we do, and they're just as tasty as last time. As she jotted down their order, Nathan leaned forward slightly. How's your day going so far? It was such a simple question, but the sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. Ryan never used to ask things like that. Most people didn't. Busy, Emily admitted. But good. Better now. His eyes softened, and for a moment, the noise of the restaurant faded around them. Drew broke the spell by knocking over his sugar tower with a dramatic crash, and all three of them laughed. Later, as Emily brought their meals, Nathan said quietly, Listen, I hope I'm not crossing a line, but if you ever need someone to talk to, or even just a friend, you've got one. Emily's breath caught. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. No one ever offered her that. Not anymore. Before she could respond, Drew piped up with his mouth full of fries. Dad needs friends too. He only hangs out with me. Nathan groaned. Thanks, buddy. Emily laughed, her chest warm in a way she hadn't felt in years. Maybe it wasn't just Drew who wanted chicken tenders. Maybe Nathan wanted something else too. Emily moved between tables with practiced speed, but every time she passed by table 4, her eyes lingered a little longer than they should. Nathan wasn't like the other customers. He never barked orders, never treated her like she was invisible. He asked about her day, laughed at her jokes, and paid attention in a way that felt safe. By the time their meal wound down, Drew had devoured his tenders and was proudly showing Emily the drawing he'd made on the kids' menu. It was a colorful, slightly messy picture of 3 stick figures, one tall, one medium-sized, and one small with curly hair. That's me and Dad, Drew explained, pointing to the tall and medium stick figures. Then he tapped the curly-haired one. And that's you. Emily blinked, surprised. Me? Yep, Drew said confidently. You're our friend now. Nathan looked mortified, running a hand down his face. Sorry, he gets carried away with his art projects. Emily smiled softly, touched despite herself. No, it's okay. It's sweet. Drew beamed, clearly proud of himself. When Nathan paid the bill, He hesitated before handing the check back. His fingers brushed hers lightly, almost by accident, but it sent a shiver up her arm. "Listen," he said carefully, "I don't want to overstep, but maybe sometime, when you're not working, you and your daughter could join us at the park. Drew would love a new playmate." Emily froze, her heart racing. Part of her wanted to say yes instantly, but another part screamed to be cautious. Men made promises all the time. They said the right things, smiled the right way, and then they left. She couldn't risk letting Lily get attached only to watch another man walk away. "I'll think about it," Emily said finally, offering a polite smile. Nathan nodded, not pushing. "That's all I ask." He guided Drew toward the door, but before they left, Drew waved excitedly. "See you soon, Emily." The restaurant felt strangely quiet after they were gone. Emily stood there, holding the check, her chest swirling with emotions she couldn't quite name. Later that night, when she picked Lily up from her neighbor's apartment, her little girl wrapped tiny arms around her neck. "I missed you, Mommy." Emily hugged her back tightly. "I missed you too, baby." As Lily drifted to sleep, Emily sat beside her bed, watching her peaceful face. Nathan's invitation echoed in her mind. "Join us at the park." She traced a finger over Lily's soft curls. She wanted to protect her daughter from disappointment, from heartbreak, but she also wanted her to see what kindness looked like. And maybe, just maybe, Nathan and Drew weren't a risk. Maybe they were a chance. The following week was a blur of double shifts, daycare pickups, and late nights folding laundry. Emily barely had time to breathe, let alone think about Nathan and Drew. But every once in a while, she caught herself remembering Drew's crayon drawing, or the quiet sincerity in Nathan's voice when he'd said, "You've got a friend." By Saturday afternoon, the weather was warm and breezy, perfect for the small community park near Emily's apartment. Lily tugged at her hand as they walked down the path, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny. "Mommy, can I go on the swings first?" Emily smiled. "Of course, sweetheart." She was pushing Lily gently when she heard a familiar voice. "Emily?" Her heart jumped. Turning, she saw Nathan standing a few feet away, a baseball cap shielding his eyes, with Drew already running toward the playground. Emily blinked in surprise. "Nathan." "Hi." He smiled, a little sheepish. "Didn't mean to crash your afternoon. Drew begged me to bring him here. Guess we got lucky." Before she could respond, Drew spotted Lily and ran right up to her. "Hi, I'm Drew. Want to play?" Lily looked up at Emily, who nodded encouragingly. "Go on, sweetheart." The two kids darted toward the slides like they'd known each other forever. Emily and Nathan found themselves standing side by side, watching them play. "They get along fast," Nathan remarked. "Kids usually do," Emily said, though her voice was softer than usual. For a moment, they just stood there in comfortable silence. Then Nathan glanced at her. "I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you look tired. You do everything by yourself, don't you?" Emily's throat tightened. "Most of it, yeah. That's just life." Nathan studied her, his expression gentle. "I get it. When Drew's mom left, I thought I couldn't handle it. But somehow you find a way. Kids give you a reason to keep going." Emily turned to him, surprised. "You're a single parent too?" Nathan nodded. "Yeah. His mom decided family life wasn't for her. She sends a postcard at Christmas, but that's about it. So it's just me and him." Emily's chest softened. For the first time, she didn't feel alone in her struggle. Here was someone who understood. The exhaustion, the sacrifices, the endless love that made it all worth it. They sat on a nearby bench while the kids laughed on the swings. Nathan pulled 2 juice boxes from his backpack, offering one to Emily with a grin. "Don't worry, it's apple, not wine. We're keeping it classy." Emily laughed, taking it. "Well, cheers to surviving parenthood." "Cheers," he echoed, clinking his juice box against hers. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in warm hues. Watching Lily and Drew play together, Emily felt something stir in her chest, something she hadn't allowed herself in a long time. Hope. And for the first time in years, she didn't push it away. As the sun dipped lower, Emily called Lily over, but the little girl clung to Drew's hand. "Do we have to go, Mommy? Can Drew come over?" Emily hesitated, glancing at Nathan. He smiled gently, kneeling beside his son. Not tonight, buddy, but maybe another day, okay? Drew pouted but nodded. Okay, bye, Lily. Lily waved enthusiastically and Emily's heart warmed. It had been so long since she'd seen her daughter connect with another child outside of daycare. As they gathered their things, Nathan walked Emily and Lily to the parking lot. Thanks for letting them play together, he said. Drew doesn't always open up so fast. Guess he found a kindred spirit. Emily smiled. Lily doesn't either. She's usually shy. I think they're good for each other. They stood awkwardly beside their cars for a moment, the air charged with something unspoken. Nathan cleared his throat. Listen, if you ever want to do this again, I'd like that. Maybe we could even plan something. Picnic, the zoo, whatever works for you. Emily bit her lip. A part of her wanted to say yes right away, but another part, the cautious part that remembered Ryan's broken promises, hesitated. Still, Nathan wasn't pushing. He wasn't trying to charm her with big gestures. He was just offering. I'll think about it, she said softly. He nodded, accepting her answer with ease. Fair enough. Take care, Emily. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, Emily sat at the kitchen table with her hands wrapped around a mug of tea. She should have been folding laundry or paying bills, but her mind kept replaying the afternoon. The way Nathan had spoken about raising Drew alone, the quiet strength in his voice, the way he'd made her laugh with juice box toasts. Her phone buzzed with a text. She almost dropped the mug when she saw the name. Ryan. Ryan. Hey, saw you with that guy today. You seriously moving on already? Emily stared at the screen, her stomach twisting. She hadn't realized Ryan had even been at the park. The idea that he was watching unsettled her, but it also sparked something else, anger. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. For years, she'd let Ryan's opinions shape her choices, even after he left. But now she thought of Nathan's steady eyes, Drew's laugh, Lily's joy. And she realized something. She didn't owe Ryan anything, not anymore. Emily locked her phone without replying and whispered into the quiet apartment, "You don't get to control me." For the first time in a long time, she believed it. The next week, Emily found herself glancing at the door of the Harbor Grill more often than usual. Each time it opened, she half expected to see Nathan and Drew. She told herself it was silly. Customers came and went, and she couldn't afford to get attached. But when Friday night rolled around and table 4 was empty, she felt an ache she didn't want to admit. Just as she was taking an order from a large party, the hostess approached her. "Emily, you've got someone asking for your section specifically." Her heart skipped. Sure enough, when she turned, there they were. Nathan with his quiet smile, Drew bouncing on his toes like he'd been waiting all week. Emily tried to hide her grin as she walked over. "Back again?" "Told you the chicken tenders were legendary," Nathan teased. "Hi, Emily," Drew chirped, holding up a comic book. "Can I show you my new superhero? He's called Super Fry Guy." Emily chuckled. "Super Fry Guy? Sounds powerful." As she took their order, Nathan lowered his voice. "By the way, if it's too much trouble us always asking for your table, just say the word." Emily shook her head. "Not trouble at all." The truth was, she looked forward to it. Their presence made the long shifts feel lighter, easier. Halfway through their meal, Ryan walked in. Alone this time. He spotted Emily instantly, smirking as he slid into a booth. She braced herself for whatever game he was about to play. Sure enough, he waved her over with that arrogant tilt of his chin. "Hey, Emily, guess I'm a regular now." Emily forced professionalism into her voice. "What can I get you, Ryan?" He leaned back, smirking. "How about your number? You know, for old time's sake." Emily's stomach churned. "I'm working. Do you want food or not?" Ryan chuckled, clearly enjoying her discomfort. But before he could press further, Nathan appeared at her side. His voice was calm but firm. "She's busy. Order something or stop wasting her time." Ryan's smirk faltered. "And you are?" "Someone who respects her," Nathan said evenly, his eyes never leaving Ryan's. For a tense moment, the air crackled. Then Ryan scoffed, muttered something under his breath, and shoved a menu toward Emily. "Fine, I'll take a burger." Emily scribbled it down, her hands trembling, not from fear, but from the overwhelming mix of relief and gratitude. When she returned to Nathan's table later, Drew was happily coloring, oblivious to the tension. Nathan looked at her quietly. "You okay?" Emily nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, thank you." He gave a small smile. "You don't have to thank me for treating you with respect, Emily. That's the bare minimum." For the rest of her shift, Ryan kept to himself. And for the first time, Emily felt like she wasn't standing alone against him. The night dragged on, but Emily's chest felt lighter than it had in years. She was used to facing Ryan's sharp words or smug little digs on her own. Tonight, though, she hadn't been alone. Nathan had stepped in, not dramatically, not to show off, but simply because it was the right thing to do. When the dinner rush slowed, she slipped Drew an extra scoop of ice cream with sprinkles. His eyes lit up. "Best waitress ever." "Don't tell anyone," Emily whispered, winking. Nathan chuckled softly. "He's going to brag about this for a week." For a moment, their eyes met across the table. Emily felt a warmth she hadn't let herself feel in years. She quickly excused herself to check another table, but her mind kept drifting back to Nathan's steady gaze. When their meal was finished, Nathan left another generous tip. But this time, he tucked something else beneath the receipt. Emily picked it up when she cleared the table. A small folded note. She hesitated before opening it. "Emily, I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but if you ever want to talk, or if Lily and Drew want another play date, here's my number. No pressure. Nathan." Her heart thudded. For a moment, she just stared at the neat handwriting, the simple honesty of it. No games, no manipulation, just an offer. After her shift ended, she sat in her car, staring at the note under the glow of the dashboard light. Her instinct was to tuck it away, to protect herself and Lily from the risk of disappointment. But then she remembered Drew's drawing, the 3 stick figures holding hands. She remembered Lily's laugh at the park. She remembered the calm in Nathan's voice when he'd told Ryan to back off. For the first time in a long time, the thought of trusting someone didn't feel terrifying. It felt possible. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out her phone. She typed a message, paused, then hit send before she could overthink. "Emily. Hi, Nathan. It's Emily. About that play date. Lily would love the zoo." She stared at the screen, her pulse racing. Seconds later, the reply came. "Nathan. Then the zoo it is. Saturday, we'll make it a good day for them." Emily smiled to herself in the quiet of her car. For once, instead of dreading the future, she was looking forward to it. Saturday dawned bright and clear. Emily packed Lily's favorite snacks and slipped her small hand into hers as they walked toward the zoo entrance. She half expected Nathan and Drew to be late, or not show at all. Old fears whispered in her ear. Promises broken, people leaving. But then she saw them, waiting by the ticket booth, and those fears quieted. Drew waved both arms wildly. "Lily!" Lily squealed back, running into his hug. The 2 children immediately launched into a debate about which animals to see first. Emily couldn't help but smile. "Morning?" Nathan said, his eyes warm as they met hers. "Ready for chaos?" Emily laughed softly. "As ready as I'll ever be." The day unfolded like a series of small miracles. The kids pressed their noses against the glass at the penguin exhibit, giggled at the monkeys, and begged for cotton candy. Emily caught herself laughing more than she had in years. Nathan stayed close, but never overbearing, helping Lily up onto the fence for a better view, carrying Drew on his shoulders when his legs got tired. At lunchtime, they sat on a picnic bench under the shade of a tree. Lily and Drew shared fries, while Nathan handed Emily a bottled water. "So," he said lightly, "think they're planning world domination yet?" Emily grinned. "At least they'll have each other as sidekicks." Their eyes met, and for a moment, it felt like the world went still. Nathan's voice grew softer. "Emily, I know you've been through a lot, and I don't want to rush anything, but I like spending time with you, and with Lily. You both—" He paused, searching for the words. "You both make things feel lighter." Emily's chest tightened. She thought of Ryan, of all the times she'd been made to feel small, unworthy. And then she thought of Nathan, his quiet strength, his kindness, the way he made space for her without demanding anything. "I like spending time with you too," she admitted. Her voice trembled, but it was the truth. Nathan's smile was slow, steady, and genuine. Then maybe we can just take it one day at a time. No pressure. Emily nodded, her throat tight with something that felt a lot like hope. The kids raced back from the playground, cotton candy smudges on their cheeks, and grabbed their parents' hands. 4 hands tangled together, small and large, tired and strong. As they walked through the zoo, Emily realized something she hadn't dared believe in years. The past didn't have to define her. Ryan didn't get to control her story anymore. This was a new chapter, one she was ready to write, hand in hand with her daughter, and maybe, just maybe, with Nathan and Drew too. For the first time in a long time, Emily wasn't just surviving, she was living, and she was no longer alone.